Coal seam gas, or CSG in short, is being presented as an environmentally friendly form of energy by the CSG industry, as well as the state and federal governments. They all argue that it is cleaner than burning coal, and that it creates thousands of jobs all over the country. While some of those claims cannot be far from the truth, what's left out from their argument is how to deal with the huge amount of wastewater generated during the extraction of the CSG. Potential benefits need to be balanced against acceptable risks, and for that to happen, one needs science-based facts, like what sort of chemicals are used during the drilling phase and the fracturing stage. Hydraulic fracturing involves high-risk activities that can have a lasting effect on health and the local environment. Fracking involves drilling a hole from 1000 meters to almost 4000 meters, starting vertically and then ending horizontally. A mix of sand and chemicals is then injected in high pressure, causing the fracture of rocks, which releases the CSG. Today, the industry is planning to expand its operations around the country to at least 50,000 wells in the coming 3 decades. So why should we be concerned? First of all, huge amounts of water equivalent to 3 Olympic swimming pools is pumped into each well, that's then turned into wastewater that cannot be used again. In other words, lost water. And in this dry country, it's unwise to waste all that water. And then there is the toxic chemicals. From 2 to 5 tons are pumped into each well. Majority of the chemicals are kept secret by the companies and not fully disclosed to the public or to the scientific community. Add to this the radioactive chemicals and heavy metals which is dislodged from deep underground and carried to the surface by the fracturing process. The result is radioactive brine that's a threat to the well-being of the population and in particular local residents. So what happens to it all? Some of the waste is intentionally evaporated, creating airborne carcinogens. The remainder is hauled away in the so-called holding ponds, previously known as evaporating ponds. Most of waste treatment facilities are not equipped to treat these toxic chemicals, heavy metals and radioactivity. The produced water sits in ponds that are poorly designed, which leaks to the environment and vulnerable to local flooding that can have serious consequences to the waterways and the ecosystem. Waste fluid in ponds will evaporate, releasing volatile chemicals to the air that we all breathe. Another hazard is the sediment, and when dry, thorium is released to the dust, and as we all know, thorium is a known carcinogenic and it causes lung cancer. Reverse osmosis has been touted as an efficient way to turn wastewater into usable water, but according to the Mary Ann Lloyd Smith, smaller low molecular weight chemicals like naphthalene, nonylphenol, methanol, trichloroethylene and ethylene glycol cannot be removed by osmosis. Let's shift now our focus to what's happening in America, the shale gas and the American experience. Americans are having a second thought about the shale gas. They are now coming to the conclusion that shale gas is not as clean as they once thought. And after seeing what shale gas is doing to their drinking water, and after witnessing air tremors that shook many areas that shale gas is extracted, the practice of injecting or re-injecting waste into the wells as storage is blamed for the exponential increase of tremors that shook areas with close proximity to the storage wells. This simply shows us that there is no reliable method at present or at this moment of time to deal with the CSG toxic waste. As a result, many Americans have lost their confidence in the shale gas and their promoters as clean source of energy. Large urban cities in America that do not sit on fault lines are experiencing small to moderate earthquakes all over the United States. And almost all of them have thousands of shale gas closer to them. In recent history, take the case of Ohio. It recorded 22 earthquakes since January 2012. In Arkansas, hundreds of tremors that forced the State Oil Commission to shut down wells and place a moratorium into the new ones. British Columbia in Canada was also subjected to an increased quakes. Also in the UK, the city of Blackpool in the northwest England, where most of the drilling for CSG took place, suffered multi-tremors too. Europeans are also eyeing this abundant resource, but not keen to follow the American path. And that's understandable, given the lessons learned from the US and elsewhere. Those problems mentioned are just the tip of an iceberg, so Australians need to take a different approach towards coal seam gas and learn from the past mistakes of other countries, because the cumulative impact of dumping potentially lethal waste without oversight is a catastrophe waiting to happen. Precautionary principle needs to be adopted here, and it's time to end this with a fitting quote: all difficulties arise from what seems easy. All great things arise from what seems minute. One who thinks that everything is easy will encounter much difficulty. Tao Te Ching. Thank you.